All right, so I'm going to take a moment and go over some of the questions from the Quiz assessment that could be found online and that I sent out via Remind a few days ago. If you're having trouble getting to that, please go to type in Quiz in the web browser and click on Join Game and type in the game code that I sent to you. But I'm going to go over some of the questions here to help you out if you have questions on it. Okay, this first one. Natalie determined that 21 out of the 98 students in 10th grade play a musical instrument. What is the ratio of students who play a musical instrument to the total students to the total number of students? So in this problem, we know that 21 out of 98 students play the instrument. So that's important. Play the instrument. These are important numbers. The ratio of students who play a musical instrument to the total number of students. Okay, so how many students play a musical instrument? Well, we know that 21 out of the 98 do, so I'm going to write 21, and to the total number of students. That would be 98. All right, so in the next one, talks about there are 20 cookies in a cookie jar. 20 cookies in a cookie jar. There are 5 butter cookies, and the rest are chocolate chip cookies. Brian wrote a ratio to represent each of the following situations. Okay, so you're going to write a ratio for each of these situations according to what is given up here. And then you're going to find out which ratio down here does not represent that situation. So the first one, the ratio of butter cookies to total number of cookies. Okay, there are 5 butter cookies, 5, and there are 20 cookies in the jar, 5 to 20. Ratio of chocolate chip cookies to the total number of cookies. Well, if there are 5 butter cookies, that means there are 15 chocolate chip, because 20 minus 5 is 15. And that would be 15 to 20. And the ratio of butter cookies to chocolate chip cookies, well, there are 5 butter cookies, so that would be 5. And we just found out there are 15 chocolate chip cookies. So you got to simplify that and find your answer. All right, now, next one. Mountain Creek Middle School is taking 306 students on a field trip. They are taking 6 buses on a trip. What is the unit rate in terms of students per bus? So this is your key word right here, per. It's your action word. That means unit rate. So we know that there are 306 students on 6 buses. We want to know how many are on one bus. We have buses, and then we have students. Pardon my handwriting. Buses and then students. Cross, multiply, and then divide. All right, next one. The ratio of boys to girls in Miss Balder's class is 4 to 5. How can this statement be interpreted? Well, there are 3 boys to 4 girls. So make sure you line up your boys and the girls correctly. All right, next one. A turtle can crawl 3 feet, can crawl 30 feet in 10 minutes. At this rate, how far can it crawl in an hour? All right, in an hour, well, we know that in 30 feet, it can crawl 10 minutes. Now, you have to do some conversion beforehand. I'll write this out. We have feet on top, and we have minutes on the bottom. We want to know how far it can go in 1 hour. Now, the question is, how many minutes are there in an hour? Well, the answer hopefully is 60. So I'm going to put 60 down here, because 60 equals 1 hour. So we would cross multiply and then divide. All right, next one. Anna is working a fast food restaurant. and made $45. Hold on a second, you can't see. And made $45 for 9 hours. Now we worked this one out just the other day, so I'm going to skip this one. Which is the better buy? This is a unit rate problem. So you do $3.50 for 10 calculators. How many for one calculator? Cross, multiply, divide. Do it for both. Okay, Beth saved 40 while Carmen saved 60. By the end of the quarter, if Carmen saved 180, assuming they are saving the same amount, how much each pay period? How much will Beth save? All right, so we know that. All right, very good. So Beth saved, we know 40. Carmen saved 60. By the end of the quarter, if Carmen saved 180, assuming they were saving the same amount, how much would they have saved? So I'm going to write Carmen over here. And Carmen saved 60. And by the end of the quarter, she had saved 180. And over here, I'm going to put Beth. You know that Beth saved 40. So how much would she have saved total? We need to cross multiply and then divide. All right. Flip it over. All right. In a class, 50 students. In a class of 50 students, 80% returned their permission slips. For a school field trip, how many students did not turn in their permission slips? Okay, I'll tell you right now, if you ever see I don't know on a test, do not select it. I promise you it's wrong. All right. So 50 students, 80% returned their permission slips. How many did not? That's important. So you need to find out how many did before you find out how many did not. And we know that 80% did, so we're going to do 80% equals how much of 50? Cross multiply and then divide. And then once you get that answer, that's how many did return their field trip. So subtract that, take that answer, and we're going to subtract that answer from 50. So get your answer here and subtract it. All right. Because this answer tells you how many did. Once you know how many did from the total, and that tells you how many did not. And that's the total number of students. All right. Sam Sweet sold 190 lollipops in January. They sold 310% that amount in February. How many lollipops were sold at Sam's Sweets in February? All right, so Sam's Sweets sold 190 in January, and they sold 310% of that in February. All right, so in January, they sold a total of, hold on a minute, 190 lollipops. There are actually two ways to do this problem, and one of the ways involves, we learned this way at the start of the year, and that was to multiply. So if you were to multiply 190 times 300%, that would give you 589. That's because we're multiplying 3.1 as a decimal, multiplying that times 190 equals 589. You could also do it by setting up that proportion. So 300%, 310 on top, 310 over 100. And you know they sold 190, cross multiply, and then divide. All right, next one. 12. Trade deposited 34% of his paycheck in the bank. If he deposited 400, how much was his paycheck? All right, so, let me stop. I believe I've gone over. I will continue on the next video.